Welcome to the After the Show Movie Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Ascully and Cidtalk. We're addicted to movies. Are you? Welcome. Hello, Cidtalk.
Hello.
How are you feeling on this fine Saturday afternoon?
Feeling all right. Feeling good.
Feeling good? Ready to talk about movies?
No, just one movie. I mean, I might mention others, but this was not the before the after the show discussion, by the way. The before the after the show discussion was this movie.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Mostly about
exclusively, and the director-writer guy. So.
Yeah.
And Adam Sandler.
Who's not part of this movie.
No. Just sort of branched out, as you do.
If he was, it would be very weird.
It'd be different.
Yeah. Anything to say before we start?
Like what? What did you want?
Well, I'll give you my arm report.
Oh, yes. Please update us on your arm as if I don't know already.
My arm still hurts. I can't pick things up with it properly. But I have no bruising. Yay.
And for anyone who doesn't know why we're not telling you, you have to go back and listen to every single podcast, yes. All 800 and however many there are, until you figure out what happened to his arm.
We'll give you a clue. It was about 3 podcasts ago when it happened.
I wasn't even going to give him that, but okay.
Yeah. Well, seems like going through 800 might be not a very good use of your time.
Oh, isn't that how creators are supposed to get engagement?
Yeah. Well, I like to go the opposite route. Don't listen.
Fair enough.
Don't listen to us. Thank you. It's Saturday, September the 14th. This is After the Show 856. We're a movie review podcast. Every week we look at a new movie. And this week we look at the movie Kinds of Kindness. It's a 2024 release out now on streaming. It's rated R. Is actually, you don't watch this with your kids.
No.
And it's 2 hours and 44 minutes long. It's from our friends at Fox and Disney. It's not a Disney movie. It's not for your kids. I'll say it again. Cidtalk's going to give you the synopsis of Kinds of Kindness.
I mean, who are we to tell people how to parent their children? If you want to expose them to ideas and then discuss it with them, it's all, go for it.
Yeah, good luck.
You want me to synopsize this movie? You want me to synopsize this movie?
Well, you can, and then I'll give you the one off the box.
Are we going to do spoiler alerts?
Not in the synopsis.
Human drama.
That's every movie. Come on.
No, that's not every movie. Do you? Well,
oh, Bambi is not human drama.
Oh, but it isn't. Well, maybe.
Maybe.
It is what people do or are expected to do when they're being manipulated to love someone else. Was that fair?
Kinds of Kindness.
Yeah, but they're not kindness, are they? It's not kindness.
I'm going to give you the one off the box.
Okay.
A man seeks to break free from his predetermined path. A cop questions his wife's demeanor after a return from a supposed drowning. And a woman searches for an extraordinary individual prophesied to become a renowned spiritual guide. And it is all those things.
It is. Now, this is the spoiler because we did not realize this is not just one story.
It's a triptych pick. Is that right?
No.
Triptych?
Triptych? I don't think so. It's a thrip film.
It's a thruple.
It's 3 stories.
Yes.
Played by the same performers, different characters, different stories, question mark. But it's all the same kind of thing.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
It is very. I was engaged from the moment it began, and then I got so comfortable in my chair. I was like part of it. I mean, I'm emulating the way I look.
You didn't want this movie to end.
My jaw was dropped. I was like, oh my God, I love this movie so much.
Also, I do like a 2 hour and 44 minute movie.
Yes, you even this morning said we're going to start early. Yes. This movie's long.
Yeah, but I'm glad. I like a long movie. And this didn't feel long, weirdly. I mean, some people might think it feels long, right?
Yeah.
This movie would probably like split people because if you're not a fan of the director and his style, let's say, it might be testing for you.
Yeah. If you have never, well, then again, we had never experienced him until we did the first time.
The Lobster was the first one we saw.
Was it the first one?
Yeah.
But you and I are unique individuals. Well, we're not unique, like we're the only ones, but we like weirdness. And I say that not because I think it's weird, but because it isn't common to have a movie that you're sitting and watching and you are uncomfortable and you're confused and you don't know what the hell is going on or what's going to happen next. And the vibe of the music, or the soundtrack, the dialogue, the pacing, everything is like uncomfortable. We both love that.
Yes.
And so from the first moment we watched The Lobster, we were just in it. I mean, I think we both kind of sink into it.
We also watched Killing of the Sacred Deer very recently too, which is also a very, very awkward movie. It makes you feel a lot of tension in that movie, and it ratchets up really slowly throughout the movie. That guy is just a piece of work. What this director kind of brings to the table, Yorgos Lanthimos, it's an odd, like nothing else. I don't feel, after I'd watched this movie, Kinds of Kindness, I was like, I can't think of another time that I experienced something like that. That was an experience. Like it, hate it, that was a movie watching thing that you just saw. Yeah. It's hard to come away and talk about it. We will do spoilers. Let's say spoilers now.
Okay.
So it is 3 different stories, all one big movie, really. It's not like Magnolia where they all intersect each other because they're different characters. But I think the themes intersect each other. That's the difference.
Yeah.
The overrunning themes are what? Like bad relationships.
Well, the one theme is manipulation.
Yeah, like
being manipulated to love someone through guilt and through
all different manner of things.
Yeah, and trying to figure out what kinds of kindness we're talking about. Then the person manipulating you tries to make it seem as though they're doing you a kindness by you sacrificing and going through pain and suffering to prove to them you love them. That is the whole crux of it to me. And because it's not an effort that I make, but I'm not easily manipulatable. And so when I watch and I feel for people who symbolically maybe, because in this movie, you've got someone even like cutting off her thumb because he tells her to cut it off and eat it, and he wants to eat it, right? So yeah, that's how bizarre it gets. So her doing it, or the character we're watching doing it in that moment, that's extreme. I understand, but I hear of stories in my life of people demanding shows of love and affection, and I put those in quotation marks, that are unreasonable, unfounded, unfair, dehumanizing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No dignity, no integrity, just stripping away the person and then going, well, if you really love me, you do it. That is the essence of this movie.
That's what that middle movie is really.
All of it is. The first one very much, because he says, I guess you don't love me.
Yeah.
When he just won't do this one horrible thing.
The 3 of the movies are pretty different, the 3 different stories. They tackle different subjects, but they kind of go along the same lines emotionally. But they are very extreme, super extreme, like nothing, not realistic, or it's crazy. The one that really I liked a lot was the first story, which was the character Willem Dafoe is playing is basically Jesse Plemons' boss. And it's like the overbearing boss, but to the millionth degree, right?
He gets a note every day telling him precisely what to do all day. Including
like what to eat, when to wake up.
When to have sex with his wife.
Yes, everything. It's like a task list. I said to you, when the task list doesn't exist anymore, like halfway through that story, this guy doesn't know what to do with himself.
Exactly.
He just wants to be back in it again.
Yeah.
The third story also parallels that with a religious cult. It's like, I'm in a religious cult, I feel okay or something, and then I'm out of it and I don't feel right and I need to be back in it again.
Exactly.
Those 2 stories, the middle one's slightly different, but I thought the first one and the third one kind of bookended each other. But they're all this extreme stuff, like you said, somebody cutting the liver out. I mean, it's probably not a real, I mean, a lot of it you have to just interpret, oh, that's not really happening. It's like an emotional thing, or it's to show you like how far people will go. Because I don't believe that really happened in that story, right?
That's the thing about this thing. And to explain that, it's like, are you watching these characters really do this? Or are we just, not that it's a dream or an imagined anything. It's sort of like the other dimension of what's happening. Like beneath what we're seeing is the reality of maybe an abusive relationship where the man's asking this woman to do really extreme things. And layered on top of that is the dimension where we're seeing it's so dehumanizing that it feels like he's asking me to cut out my own liver.
Exactly.
That's the layer we're seeing. Or it is legit because in The Lobster, people turn into animals when they can't find a mate. So
yeah. So yeah, it's really extreme. It's funny. You know what? There were some moments where I laughed, and I even said to you, "Why am I laughing at that?"
Yeah, about something.
I laughed at a man being run over.
He did because it was so extreme.
And it came out of nowhere. It was like, oh, okay, well, oh.
I don't think you were laughing at him being run over. You're laughing because it's like the Jesse Plemons character is just, he's the one who we said he was under so much control, and then the guy ditches him because he refuses to do one thing.
Right.
And then he's left to his own devices. And now this is how he's going to prove himself again.
Like he'll do anything to get back.
Yeah, this really extreme thing. And it's in a sort of slapstickish way. And then you're, again, it's uncomfortable. It's awkward. You feel like, I don't want to think this is funny.
Yeah. There are points where I actually laughed and I was like, what am I laughing at? Is this supposed to be funny? I find it funny, so maybe I'm a sick and twisted individual.
Maybe sick and twisted.
Yeah. So what anything point sticks out to you? Oh, cinematography. Really great.
Gorgeous.
Kept getting reminders of Paul Thomas Anderson. And you know what that was? Where you start a shot at the end of a corridor, for instance, and then push really slowly as somebody's talking and end up right in the face. Magnolia does that a lot, and it's one of the things I like about that movie. This movie does that a lot.
Yeah, the overall vibe is puts you on edge. Even though I was super relaxed, I think a normal person would have been, you feel uncomfortable, but I was like, oh, I dig this vibe of the ting, 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 ting.
Oh, yeah.
Ting.
There's a lot of, it's not a soundtrack.
No, in the first movie, or in the first story, one character says, I'm going to go practice my piano. I haven't practiced for a long time. And then in the background, you start hearing this sort of like, ding, 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 dong.
Like anybody banging on a piano.
Yes, and then that repeats throughout. I think every time we see that actress, performer lady, her characters, we start hearing the tinkling. I don't know. I've thought about that later on.
I'll tell you one thing I did notice in the soundtrack. You know, the ding, 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 ding of somebody pressing on a piano key. In the third story, when it started happening, the piano string wasn't there. So it was just the knock of the piano hammer and no string.
Oh.
It was just like knock, 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 knock. The piano string had broken at that point. So I think that was saying something. Because it was just the noise of the piano. I only know this because in my school where we had a piano, most of the strings were broken. So when you press the keys, they just went like donk, 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 donk. So yeah, it did that in the soundtrack. And I'm sure it was planned. But yeah, it's got a very awkward score. It's not really a score, is it?
Yeah, I think that is a score. It's not a soundtrack so much as a score.
Yeah, it makes you feel, and it's loud, so it makes you feel on edge. It's like, remember the scene in Boogie Nights, where they're having a meeting, a drug deal, let's say, and there's a person in the background setting off firecrackers randomly inside the building. And every time one goes off, it makes you jump because you don't expect it. This has that. You know, every time the piano key hits, it's like, oh God, this is happening again. I feel stressed.
I didn't feel that, but I know what you're referring to.
Yeah. Let's get on to the cast. Oh, overall, it is a ride. It's a long movie. It didn't feel long to me because I enjoy this director's work. And does it tell you anything? Do you learn anything from this movie?
Well, what are you wanting to learn?
Do you come away with like okay, I'm going to do things differently or any of that? Or do you go, well?
I don't know what you mean. I'll have to think about that.
Is there a lesson to be learned or a moral to the tale? Is there a way to fix how these people are? Like,
well, one thing I learned, because I find it fascinating that the dialogue between a lot of the people repetitively is repetitive and mundane, and that sex and food leach into every conversation, or how people look, how skinny they look, how much they weigh, how tall they are, how good they look. But we kind of focus on in each movie, there's reference to food, overeating, how thin people are, or something like that. And the repetitiveness, and that is real life.
yeah.
I just thought of this earlier today or yesterday. I don't know, it all blurs together. I would like to have a conversation with some people, and not want him, but some blah, 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 da, da, da. Oh, and she's just so good looking. Or
Right.
he's just so good looking. Isn't he good looking? He's just so good looking. And I find that it's like my brain starts to turn off, and some of the dialogue in this movie and his movies.
They're,
Yes.
it's
Are you
detached
hungry? Like,
almost.
here, you're not eating. I'm not hungry. You want me to make you something different? I'm not hungry. I can make you anything you want. I'm not hungry. And
Yeah.
that is life. And it's probably why I like to be alone.
And your version of that scene that you just played out has more emotion in it than theirs does.
It does, yeah.
Because they play it really flat.
True. Figured out.
Extremely flat. And if you watched The Killing of a Sacred Deer and you listen to Colin Farrell, you listen to his character talk, you'd be like, who talks like that? But it's just the situation he's in. He's so controlled, and you remember, he talks very da-da-da-da-da,
True.
da-da-da-da-da. And they do it less
They
so
all
in this
do,
movie.
though.
Yeah, less so in this movie, I thought. There was a little bit of emotion from some people.
I'll be honest. I had to conjure up in my mind what that movie actually was. Now I got it.
He was the doctor in the hospital.
Saltwort guy.
Yes, Saltburn man.
Saltburn, yeah.
Turns up, yeah.
I'm kind of like Honey from EastEnders. I get things just a little bit wrong.
Yeah. And nobody knows who Honey from EastEnders is. Who listens.
Somebody listening knows who Honey is.
Maybe.
And it's a compliment to myself because I love Honey. She's awesome.
Honeyisms. All right, so moving on to the cast. Emma Stone plays, well, I put down she plays Rita, but she plays 3 different characters. What do you think of Emma Stone?
She's endlessly watchable. Is that a fair statement?
She's very good, yeah. And she's worked with
Endlessly.
Yorgos before because she did Poor Things earlier this year. And you said...
I did say
Yeah.
there is the Poor Things, because these characters all have a certain rigidity to them and lostness, right?
Mhm.
Like they're all kind of lost and they're seeking, and there's an immediacy to everything and confusion, and that creeps in to all the characters. And it's also from Poor Things. A bit in Poor Things, she's a very different character. You have to remember she had a brain transplant.
Yes.
But I just cannot, I don't have to stop watching her ever. Like every scene can be her being 50 different people. And everybody's the same. I thought everyone was excellent.
I really like the path Emma Stone has chosen. You know, she was Amazing Spider-Man, that kind of movie. Like teen comedies as well before that. But I really like this for her. Just the odd route. I prefer the odd route to the mainstream route, let's say. Jesse Plemons plays Robert. He also plays another 2 different characters. Everybody, you can literally say everybody in here plays 3 characters.
Yeah.
Right? So what do you think of Jesse Plemons?
There are subtle differences to his characters, and then there are like the big differences, right? Some from the first guy is very specific and very wound up and controlled.
Yes.
And like kind of like Emma Stone with the rigidity of like, I am a puppet on a string. Like I've got a stick up my back, and I'm, and he's confused and like desperate. And then in another one, he's also kind of confused when he's thinking that his wife isn't his wife anymore.
But a different guy.
He is different. He's got
He's
like
a cop in the middle.
a bully kind of attitude there a little bit, and kind of wacky. And then in the other one, I'm convinced he's like one of those cult guys. So yeah, he's excellent.
He actually won an award at the Cannes Film Festival for this movie, Best Actor. So I agree, but I also agree everybody else is amazing.
Absolutely.
Willem Dafoe plays Raymond, amongst others. He's great, Willem Dafoe. I mean, he was in Poor Things also with Emma Stone, but he really does not care. He just goes for whatever character it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And in this one, his three characters, again, they're pretty different from each other, even though they've all got the same kind of motive.
Yeah.
But,
well, the dad does not. He's just a dad.
Oh, yeah, he's just the dad in the middle one.
Yeah.
And he's just a dad who doesn't really like the husband very much.
And so he's one of the clues that maybe what we're seeing isn't what is really happening, because he already knows this guy is a jerk, but we're not seeing that.
No.
We're just seeing her sacrificing things and doing things. And so that was he was an interesting character to stick in there. But
I think the middle story, thinking about it afterwards, where I was like, this might be my least favorite of the three stories, but then thinking about it now, I'm like, no, that's pretty good too.
Why are you comparing them? That's just rude.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's my thing. Margaret Qualley plays Vivian. What do you think of Margaret? She is Groundhog Day's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. I mean, just, again, you don't have to ask me on them all, because I'm going to say the same thing.
She's really good. And
I can't wait till each of them is on the screen again. That is how much I enjoyed them.
And she plays more than three people.
And she does. Plays a twin.
Yeah. All very good. And Hong Lau as Sarah. We thought we'd seen her in something, and then we didn't know who she was. And then we looked her up. And what was she in again?
She was good.
Yeah. Directed by Yorgos Lanthimos. He directed Poor Things, Killing of a Sacred Deer, The Lobster, Dogtooth. What do you think?
Always fascinating.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get. And
Correct.
what you usually get is something of interest, I would say.
Feel like I know his mind.
Yeah. Well, no, I don't feel like I do, because every time on these three stories, there was something where I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, but that's just the surface. What you understand what he's saying.
Yes.
It's just the way he's communicating it by showing you a woman cut off her own thumb. And your brain is like, what? Instead of us watching a woman get down on her hands and knees and scrub a floor because a dude said there's a drop of something on it. And she's so desperate to make him happy that she will bloody her hands to clean it up. That you wouldn't find, you would be like, oh, well, she shouldn't be doing that. But it doesn't feel awkward or weird. It seems acceptable. And I don't mean that that's acceptable, but to see a woman choose to cut off her own thumb, that makes you uncomfortable. But it's the same story he's telling you. So it's kind of like the surface makes you feel tingly and weird, but then you just think about it for a minute and you're like, oh, I get it.
All right, IMDB reviews. These are the reviews where people on IMDb say, hey, this is a 1-star movie. It sucks. So I like to see what the people who don't like a movie think. So let's have a look. First guy says, pretentious twaddle. I sat through 90% of this film until I realized that what I was feeling wasn't intellectually challenged. What I was feeling was a lot of pretentious, self-indulgent twaddle.
I get that.
That's it.
I get that. I do. I get that. I sympathize with you, or empathize, or whatever it is. I understand what you're saying. I disagree.
Second guy says, I'm a big fan of Yorgos, and Poor Things has wonderful elements of pure genius with small elements of quirk and stories that form a unique storyline. This story doesn't feel like it was written by the person who wrote that film. Beware. That's it.
Beware.
And the third guy says, garbage. Do not waste your time with this film. I couldn't tell what it was about, nor did I find anything redeemable about it. Save your money and your time. How this got greenlit by a studio boggles my mind. There's no plot. The title makes no sense. And there's nothing to spoil because it all makes zero sense. It's a masterpiece of garbage that lasts 3 hours.
A masterpiece of garbage.
They should put that on the poster.
I love that. I actually really like that. It's funny.
It's a masterpiece.
Right on.
Yeah. So those are the people who didn't
obviously
like it.
that person has never seen the movie Zombiever. But hey, if they want to think this is a masterpiece of garbage, let them go watch that one and see what they think.
Yeah, exactly. So those are the IMDb reviews. Extras, we didn't see any extras because we saw the streaming version. Let's give this movie a score. I'm going to give Kinds of Kindness an 8 out of 10.
Woo woo! I'm going to give it an 8.9.
Nice.
Yeah. And did we decide what kinds of kindness we're talking about?
There's not a lot of kindness, to be fair.
True.
It's all superficial kindness. Like, I think I'm being kind to make you...
It's manipulative kindness, not super... Yeah, Yeah, agree.
So there is kindness, but it's not the type that you might like or be used to. Or maybe you are used to it, and then it will trigger the shit out of you, and you don't want to watch this movie.
Very possible.
Yeah. All right, thank you to Fox. Next week, we're going to look at the movie Rebel Ridge. Do you know this one?
I don't.
Well, it's about a ridge and a rebel.
Sounds like a Star Wars movie.
It does actually, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like Rebel Moon, but with a ridge.
Mm.
It's the sequel to Rebel Moon, Rebel Ridge.
It's not.
No. Thank God.
Rude.
Yeah. Movie recommendations. I was looking what Jesse Plemons was in that I like, and of course he was in Breaking Bad.
You like everything he's in.
I do.
I mean, you like him in everything he's in.
Yeah, first time I saw him was Breaking Bad, but then later he did a small movie by Mr. Paul Thomas Anderson called The Master, which he was in.
He also did Fargo, which he was amazing.
He did.
I mean, amazing.
And that cemented it to me. Like
him and his wife, amazing in that one.
Yeah, Civil War, which we recently saw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know he was in it briefly, but he was a big deal in it. I mean, it was one of the best scenes. And then I was thinking of Emma Stone, and I thought of the original Zombieland, which is a very fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a sequel also starring Emma Stone, and that wasn't quite as good. But the original one, I think, still stands up as a goofy, zombie comedy. A Zomcom? Is that right?
I don't even know. I don't play that game.
All right. What are your recommendations?
My recommendations, let me get over to it because I'm playing City Skylines. So I'm trying to build a bridge here. And if I move my mouse, then the whole thing goes away. And
that's fine.
Hold on a second. No, I've got to build this exit out to a highway so my road doesn't get clogged up. Okay. My recommendations are going back to the 20th century, and I'm into what I think are just dramas.
Right.
From 1901 to 1999. These are a little bit later. I think these are all 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Up Close and Personal, which you like.
I do like that one.
Was it Robert Redford,
yes.
Michelle Pfeiffer, Prison Reporter, etc.?
Yes.
No, these are very of their times. So we have No Way Out, which was, crime, Kevin Costner, da-da-da.
I don't remember that one.
Where the commander general guy, a woman dies, and then Kevin Costner's charged with trying to it's kind of like the one with the other two dudes, you can't handle the truth. Where an internal investigation, militarily speaking, A
Few Good Men.
Yes, that one, like that.
Right.
Then we have Dolores Claiborne, which I think is a little overrated.
Is it it's like Misery, but it's not?
Yeah, I think it's Jennifer Jason Leigh. Is that right? Is that her name?
I thought it was Kathy Bates.
Oh, it might be, and Jennifer Jason Leigh, but I don't know.
Maybe.
I have to look it up.
Yeah.
Boys Don't Cry. High drama. Very high drama.
Yeah.
A movie kind of ahead of its time, ahead of the times. And then Dirty Dancing. Just a little flingity fling there. Now, that wasn't... That was the 80s, so...
No.
I think. Or 1990. Or something like that.
So, Ascully stuff. I wanted to mention that Warner Brothers sent me a disc for review here, right?
Yeah.
It's the TV show Succession. Now, we didn't see the TV show Succession, me and you, right?
Correct.
We kind of missed the boat completely. How? I don't know, because I usually do watch HBO shows. But what I wanted to say is they sent us the whole season, right? The whole complete series on disc. And the lady who sent it me was like, can you send me the review of that in a couple of days? And I'm like, well, I think it's like 4,000 hours worth of entertainment or something. It says it on the back of the box. It's like 2,000 something hours. I'm like, I can't do that, but I can mention that this is coming out, and we did receive a copy.
That it exists. It exists in the world.
And down the road, we'll probably talk about it, but there's no way we're watching 2,000 hours in a week. We're not that.
I mean, I'm the marathoner.
We're not schlubs.
I could watch, you speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm schlubby, because I can watch many hours of the same show for a long time in a row, so.
Well, if you...
Not 4,000.
If you've been sleeping under a rock like we did, Succession is an HBO show, and it's about the Roy family. And do you remember what this was about? I mean, we saw clips maybe, or a trailer or something.
I'll be honest, I don't care. So I guess whatever it is, it is. A rich family. And
it won 75 Emmy nominations.
Okay.
And this is like the full complete series on Blu-ray. So, 2,340 minutes long it is. That's a lot of Succession. So it's about a media company, like a big newspaper.
Yeah.
And it's binge-worthy, according to the thing. So Succession, the complete series, you can get it now. I would love to tell you how much it costs, but my press release does not tell you. $12, I would say. No? Yes? Probably not $12. Probably, $13 at least. So that's Succession on Blu-ray. That's all I wanted to say because I haven't been playing any games. Cidtalk, what's for dinner?
Well, it looks like we're going to have some Jersey Mike's. Because they're not sponsoring us or anything, but today is free delivery Saturday, so I'm going to take advantage.
Free delivery Saturday.
Then I don't have to drive anywhere. You see, this is what happens when you retire. The days all blur together. The car sits in the garage for a long period of time, and then you're like, do I even want to go out and like walk in and get something? I don't think so. So that's what it's going to be.
Nice.
That's what I thought.
Very nice. Cidtalk, what is your blurb?
My blurb is inspired by this movie.
Thoughts. What do we call this section?
Cidtalk.
Yes.
Cidtalk originated.
Advice. That's what I'm thinking.
Cidtalk originated with my friend about 35 years ago. I think, oh my God, it was that long ago. I was drunken college student, and my friend was older than me, guitar player. I have a thing for guitar players. That's why I love it when you play Guitar Hero.
Not really the same.
It's not the same, but it'll do. You've got the bonus accent, so, there's that.
Yeah.
But I would just talk and give my opinion on anything, and I don't read a lot of books, and here are these people who, like, talk about philosophy and the Bible and other religious texts, and so-and-so Pletherus said this in the 2nd century and all this other shit, and I'd just be like, what are you talking about? Like, can't you just use your own brain and think of this, that, and he's like... He'd call me up and say, hey, we're getting together. We need some Cidtalk. Because my nickname is Sid. So he called it Cidtalk. So you just call it Cidtalk. Because here it is for this week.
All right. So what is it?
Inspired by this movie and thoughts of it is that the depths of what we can think and feel and communicate as people is not served well by the mundane bullshit that dries a crust over every conversation almost. That crusty, so how's it going? Good. How are you? Good. How's the family? Oh, they're good. Man, it's been really rainy. Oh, I know. Could we use a break? Yeah. Oh, it was so hot last week. Yeah.
I try not to indulge in those
You guys do anything this weekend? No, not really. Well, we're going to the lake, or we're going to the thing, or we're just going to stay home. We got ball games. We got this. How's work? Oh, it's always the same. Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I'm not any more intelligent than these people, but my gosh, I would rather talk about, I don't know. I don't even know. See, I can't formulate the words because my brain is so, blah, because of all the mundane shit. So you can dig a little deeper. When you have a conversation with people. Maybe some people aren't worth it, but you never know. You never know what's down under the crust.
Crust. Talking of crust, is it dinner time yet?
Not yet.
Well done, Cidtalk. Ascully.com, that's the place you can go to get this podcast. You can also go to Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Those are our social media handles. Is that what you call them? Handles?
Yeah.
10-4, good buddy.
Yeah.
You can also go to Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, or YouTube to listen to the podcast or subscribe or whatever you want to do. You can email feedback to me, ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Cidtalk. She doesn't want your email. And stay classy, Mr. Yorgos Lanthimos. I really can't wait for your next movie. Thank you.
And I'm going to say think for yourself, because if you're not doing it, someone's doing it for you.